Hello, friends. Welcome to Apex Chess Academy. Hope you are safe in this COVID time. So you are seeing the initial position here. It's a French defense, and yes, today we are going to discuss a very long awaiting topic: search for the truth. And yes, it's the first part of this series of the search for the truth opening series, in fact. And let's start with the initial move order, how we'll reach to this position: e4, e6, d4, d5, e5, c5, c3, knight c6, knight f3, and bishop d7. So here instead of bishop d7, you may go for even knight h6 or even queen b6, or even before knight c6 you can just play bishop d7 and queen b6. But why I took this uh, move order in my first series? Because I have started French defense as my first opening reporter against e4, and that's why I thought, okay, let's start with this move order. Okay, and basically I'm allowed to play against typically French advance, especially against amongst all the variations. So as I just took this example of this bishop d7 order, and lots of players says, okay, French is basically not attacking opening. So we'll see. It's not the case here, and in fact, in normally in French you will get a very double-edged position, except French exchange variation. That's very very dry, in fact. Okay, still you have some ideas in that, but still it's a little bit dry as compared to any other variation. So after bishop d7, there are basically few choices for white. One gambit variation that leads to bishop d3, that we'll discuss in future. Another variation and the main line is bishop e2 and the a3 move here. Today we are going to check this a3 move, and basically after a3 there are few choices. Earlier I have, when I have started this variation, basically I have decided to play c4 here, and that's also a quite interesting idea. In fact, you can see from this arrows, I can just adopt an idea like just knight 7, knight c8, knight b6, knight a4, and then maybe bishop a4, and just have very strong grip on queen side. This is another very strong idea, which I was used to play previously, but nowadays I am playing even f6 here. Okay, if someone takes, then I can just play even simple knight into f6, and then maybe bishop d6, and then we'll decide later if I'm able to achieve e5. Okay, I'll try e5, or maybe even short castle, or even queen c7 and long castle. So it's very much flexible, right? Okay, so after f6, here very energetic move is b4, and that's what basically the original idea of the sixth a3. And after f6 b4, here I strongly recommend f into e5, and if white wants to increase his control over the e5 square, uh, he has to play b5, and after b5 knight into e5 followed by queen h5 looks very crushing, in fact. So after b5, here our topic starts, and here today we'll find a truth. Is knight d4 playable alternative for black or not? Okay, and this is what our first topic. So after 8th b5, we'll discuss today about the move knight into d4, and we'll conclude according to my current knowledge, is it playable or not? Okay, so after knight into d4, obvious move is of course c into d4, because knight e5 means you can just play even knight f5, and black's position looks very good because white's pawn structure is just bad. So after cd4, we'll just take ed4. And you see here we have already three pawns against one piece. And in fact, I have prepared this material maybe a way back, around 2010 probably. And here I feel that bishop f4 is the only choice for white if uh, white wants to fight against these pawns. Because if you won't play bishop f4, then black's idea is simple: bishop d6 followed by e5 and e4, and that's, I think, it's almost over. Once I have played this variation against one of the strong Indian women player, Varsini V, probably in 2016 in National Senior Championship. Here, I think she played knight bd2, and this is a mistake, right? So you cannot play knight bd2. You have to stop my e5. And if you are not stopping e5, and if you're playing bishop, nbd2, black can simply play bishop d6. Now she played knight b3, and just now knight f6, bishop e2, short castle. And here I can play e5, but after e5, white's idea is to give the piece back after knight into c5, bishop into c5, knight e5, and then white simply goes back to f3 and knight into d4. And then we have some isolated pawn on d5, and white can play around that pawn. But instead of that, on move number 13, I played rook c8 because my pawns are much better than white's piece. So I should not give up this important c5 pawn, and that's why I played rook c8. After a4, here I played a5. Okay, even I can consider here one more like d3. And after bishop into d3, c4, bishop into c4, and just rook into c4, still black has decent advantage. But here after d3, basically black took a decision, and white has an automatic move like bishop d3 and give up piece back. Still I'm pawn up, but okay, I feel the tax is even more better way to continue, at least a practical point of view. Because here I am gaining time in sense, basically I am passing decision making process to opponent, and that's even basically more important here. So I played e5, and now basically I'm threatening e4. I'm gaining my piece back whenever I want, maybe e5 or sorry, c4 or e4 is a threat. So here my opponent took on c5. Okay, I take it back with rook, because if I took with bishop, then knight e5, same idea. So rook into, and now her idea is bishop a3. So now bishop into c5 is again a threat. So I played b6. So whenever you take on c5, again my monster pawn chain will be there. So after h3, I'll just play queen e7. And after queen e7, whenever you take on c5, again I'll take it back with the pawn. And if you won't take, then I'll just put my rook maybe on c3 or on c7, and I will force you to take. And I just given a single pawn for the piece. So I'll be two pawns up. So my opponent is forced to take on c5. I just took it back with the pawn. And now rook e1, and here I may play e4 directly, but before playing e4, I have decided to uh, enter with my knight in his camp, in her camp, after knight e4. So basically knight e4 and bishop f1, knight c3, queen d2, and e4. And I think the remaining stuff is not so uh, not, I mean, so difficult. She played knight h2. I played bishop f4, queen moves, and then e3. Again, after knight f3, just took on f2, queen into f2, bishop e3. Okay, king h1, because the bishop is pinned. My queen is hanging on e7. So of course I won't exchange my queens like this. So I played knight e4. All moves are very natural. Now has to move her queen to somewhere else, and now just queen d6. Maybe first knight d6 and then queen d6 is also good enough. But okay, queen d6, and now I'm threatening just knight g3, and that's winning. Okay, she tried rook e3, d3, rook e1, and now the final crushing blow, just rook into f3, pawn into, knight f2 check, queen g3, bishop g2, and bishop h3, and she resigned. And basically, when the game finished, I have probably just I used 10 minutes in a game while season time pressure. So let's come back to the position on move number 10 where she played knight bd2, and I told you that basically knight bd2 is not good and white has to stop bishop d6. And the best idea is to go for 10th bishop d6 where black can go for knight f6, knight bd2, bishop e7. Okay, instead of knight b2, maybe bishop e2 is also possible, but it does not change much. So after bishop e7, now there are basically only few games here. Bishop d3, queen b1, and g3. This kind of moves has been tried here, but I think the better moves that are maybe knight e5, bishop e2, and bishop e5, and all moves are basically novelty still. Okay, so if someone goes for bishop d3, you may just play one simple rook c8, and then your idea is c4, because I don't want to play direct c4, otherwise white will simply give up his piece back, and that's why I just play rook c8 with the idea of c4 with a crushing position, in fact. So here, let's say if some white tries to uh, increase the control over the e5 and try to achieve a blockade on e5. In fact, let's say if knight e5, we'll just go for short castle, and if someone plays g3, you can maneuver your bishop, light square bishop, with bishop e8, and after bishop h3 you can even consider knight h5, and does not matter you are losing e6 pawn, because after bishop e6 just king h8, and if queen f3 then you have even g5, and you are just winning a piece back with a very strong position. So let's come back to move number 12. If someone plays bishop e2, you can still go for castle, and let's say if someone goes for castle, you just play one knight e4 with the idea of knight c3. Still the bishop on f4 is hanging. If someone plays bishop e5, you just play knight c3, queen e1, and now just queen a5, and basically our idea is to take on e2 and take on b5. So basically, we are just winning an pawn and exchange. So white is forced to play a4, and now we'll just still focus on this pawn. So just a6. And if ba6, just knight into e2, queen into e2, and just queen into a6, queen into a6, rook into a6. Now we are going to win a4 pawn as well, and then we have 5 connected pawns. That is too much, right? So that's almost crushing. Let's go back to move number 12, where white tries to achieve bishop e5, in fact. Okay, still we'll just go for castle, and if someone plays bishop e2, still I feel there are two good ideas. One, you can just still play bishop e8, or you can even still play knight g4, force this bishop to move somewhere, maybe even just say bishop g3, and still bishop f6 will try to achieve e5. And if someone plays h6, not to allow this e5 idea, but then we just play knight h6 followed by knight f5 idea, and still we have very good play. Again, let's say after move number 12, bishop e5, castle. If someone plays a4 on move number 13, you can play now even a surprising move c4. Okay, we are basically ready to give up the d4 pawn, but in return, basically we are achieving bishop b4. Now let's say if you take on d4, so still you have very strong domination on light square, and it looks like we do not have the sufficient play. But still, after bishop b4, We are threatening knight e4, and then we may threat rook into f3 followed by knight d2 or bishop d2. And if someone plays rook b1 in order to attack this bishop, we just defend it with queen e7. Again, we have a threat like c3 and c2, or we are threatening knight e4 followed by rook into f3. And still, I feel black has more than sufficient play. And I personally feel that this idea of playing knight d4 is in fact very good. I have tried in few occasions, maybe I have played 2 to 3 games in the same position after knight d4, maybe 2 to 3 games in a blitz. But one time I played in on a classical game, and I think this is still too good. I mean, you can play it in any mode. So this sacrifice, just giving up a piece and just having a bunch of pawns against the piece, is my one of my favorite way to play. And the people who are normally says that French is basically not an aggressive idea, I I won't basically agree with them. And I have lots of attacking ideas in French as well. Basically, this is one of the attacking idea in French advance. But even in knight d2, Taras, or even just knight c3 system, we have lots of attacking ideas as black. So hope you have enjoyed this idea, and this is the first part, or you can say the episode of Search for the Truth French advance. Typically 6th a3 idea, 6th f6, and the 8th knight into d4. So this is a very aggressive idea. And what's our conclusion? Our conclusion is you can definitely go for this idea, and it's really really worth playing this idea, and you'll have a great result, that is for sure.